May God keep you away from the venom of cobra, the teeth of tiger, and the revenge of Afghans. Alexander the Great. Almost the same message Borovik tried to send in his book, with his words. Perhaps everything had gone to pieces when Russia ignored Imperial England's unfortunate experience in Afghanistan. The Hidden War, a Russian journalist's account of the Soviet war in Afghanistan. Artyom Borovik was a Russian journalist and media magnate. He was the son of a Soviet journalist who worked for many years as a foreign correspondent in the United States. His top-secret TV program often focused on corruption cases involving Russia's highest echelons of political and economical elite. The program, as well as Borovik's print publications, Top Secret and Versia, were openly critical of Vladimir Putin. Borovik also opposed the First and the Second Chechen Wars. The Soviet-Afghan War was a conflict wherein insurgent groups, known collectively as Mujahideen, as well as smaller groups, fought a 9-year guerrilla war against the Soviet Army and the so-called Democratic Republic of Afghanistan, government throughout the 80s, mostly in the Afghan countryside. The Soviet Union had been a major power broker and influential mentor in Afghan politics, its involvement ranging from civil military infrastructure to Afghan society. Since 1948, Afghanistan had been under the influence of the Soviet government and received large amounts of aid, economic assistance, military equipment, training, and military hardware from the Soviet Union. The foundations of the conflict were laid by the Sour Revolution, a 1978 coup wherein Afghanistan's Communist Party took power, initiating a series of radical modernization and land reforms throughout the country. These reforms were deeply unpopular among the more traditional rural population and established power structures. On 27 December 1979, the Crux Point occurred. The Soviet Special Forces stormed the Tashbek Palace in Afghanistan and assassinated Afghan President Hafizullah Amin. The Soviets installed Babrak Karmal as Amin's successor. The Amin government, having secured a treaty in December 1978 that allowed them to call on Soviet forces, repeatedly requested the introduction of troops in Afghanistan in the spring and summer of 1979. They requested Soviet troops to provide security and to assist in the fight against the Mujahideen rebels. In 1980, when I first arrived in Afghanistan, most of the soldiers were my age. They hadn't yet turned 20. But in 1989, on my last trip to Afghanistan, I noticed with horror that the army was 10 years younger than I. One generation had entered in Afghanistan, an entirely different generation was leaving it. Borovik's account of Afghanistan is a vivid, soldier's eye view of a war, with its pain, its maimings, its intolerable wastes, its petty gains and losses, its bitter slang. Quarrels abound with officers and soldiers of other ethnic groups, and with busy bodies sent from home. There are described of records many cases of brutality towards the civilian population. In Afghanistan, we bombed not only the detachments of rebels and their caravans, but our own ideals as well. The Mujahideen were variously backed primarily by the United States, Pakistan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, China, and other countries. Borovik met the American journalist Artyom Peter, which said, "Traveling around Afghanistan, I always remembered the Vietnam War, which was so disastrous for America, and looked for common features. I covered Vietnam War for 10 years, and the analogies with Afghanistan were obvious." With a contact named Haley, journalist Artyom Peter entered Afghanistan, illegally, from Pakistan. Both men were dressed in traditional clothing as natives and led by Mujahideen guides. Planning for the withdrawal of the Soviet Union from the Afghanistan war began soon after Mikhail Gorbachev became the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Understanding the Soviet Union's troublesome economic and international situation was complicated by its involvement in the Afghan war. Gorbachev had decided to seek a withdrawal from Afghanistan and had won the support of the Politburo to do so by October 1985. The final and complete withdrawal of the Soviet combatant forces from Afghanistan began on 15 May 1988, finished on 15 February 1989, under the leadership of Colonel General Boris Gromov. We went in when stagnation was at its peak and now leave when truth is raging. From Borovik's book. The author in no way claims to offer a complete account of a war in Afghanistan, or any of the momentous events that are connected with it. This book tells about what the author himself saw and experienced there.